Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Eternal Sonata playthrough. It is time to continue on our journey all the way through the Double Reed Tower. We are very nearly to the end of this now. Like, I believe we just have one more boss fight at the top of the East Tower, and then we can go on to face Legato as the ruined body. But obviously we've got to get to the other bit of the tower first and pick up all the stuff that is on the way there. So that does mean that we've got another lovely 25 minutes to delve into another interesting bit of Chopin.
How pathetic. Show me some determination.
So, there's a lovely section here on form and harmony. I do like that basically over the course of this entire playthrough I will have probably read out the entirety of Chopin's Wikipedia page. But hey! I find this stuff fascinating. So, improvisation stands at the centre of Chopin's creative processes. However, this does not imply impulsive rambling. Nicholas Templey writes that improvisation is designed for an audience, and its starting point is that the audience's expectations, which include the current conventions of music form. The works for piano and orchestra, including the two concertos, are held by Templey to be merely vehicled for brilliant piano playing, formally long-winded and extremely conservative. After the piano concertos, Chopin made no attempts at large-scale multi-movement forms, save for his late sonatas for piano and for cello. Instead, he achieved near perfection in pieces of simple general design, but subtle and complex sound structure. Rosen, who's obviously said stuff about Chopin, suggests that an important aspect of Chopin's individuality is his flexible handling of the four-bar phrase as a structural unit. J. Barry Jones suggests that amongst the works that Chopin intended for concert use, the four ballads and four scherzos stand supreme, and adds that the Barcaroli Opus 60 stands apart as an example of Chopin's rich harmonic palette, coupled with an Italianate warmth of melody. Templey opines that these works, which contain immense variety of mood, thematic material and structural detail, are based on an extended departure and return form. The more the middle section is extended, and the further it departs in key moving theme from the opening idea, the more important and dramatic is the reprise when it at last comes. Chopin's mazurkas and waltzes are all in straightforward ternary or episodic form, sometimes with a coda. That's obviously why we ended up with Coda Ruins. And the mazurkas often show more folk features than many of Chopin's other works, sometimes including modal scales and harmonies and the use of drone basses. However, some also show unusual sophistication, for example Opus 63 No. 3, which includes a canon at 1 beat's distance, which is a great rarity in music, apparently. A canon being a piece that employs a melody with one or more imitations of the melody played after a given duration. So, basically in the round, effectively. So it uses that. So I think I've talked about it before, but the Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, etc. That's how a canon works, and obviously Chopin decided to include one of those in a piece of piano music, because he's nuts, and that's why we love him. Chopin's Polonaises show a marked advance on those of his Polish predecessors in the form, who included his teachers Zinwi and Elsner. As with the traditional Polonaise, Chopin's works are in triple time and typically display a martial rhythm in their melodies, and accompaniments and cadences. Unlike most of their precursors, however, they also require a formidable playing technique. Because obviously, you can't just play Chopin if you're a very average pianist. Like, you need to be really, really damn good. I certainly am not. I mean, I'm not even a pianist. Like, I've had a little bit of a tinkle on a piano once, well, not once before. Like, when I was at school, in our music lessons, we got to play on the keyboard, and that's probably the closest I ever got to being anywhere close to having any piano skills. Because I remember at the time I was able to play the melody line of Simple and Clean. Well, close, it's more Hikari, but still. And also, I think I did manage to begin to get the melody of Gusty Garden Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy. Super happy about that. But then time has passed, and all the skills I had with remembering how to use a blooming piano have gone. That said, my sister's boyfriend's an excellent pianist, and he can actually play Chopin. And it's pretty awesome to witness. Now, continuing onwards, the 21 nocturnes that Chopin wrote are more structured and of greater emotional depth than those of Field, whom Chopin met in 1833. Many of Chopin's nocturnes have middle sections marked by agitated expression and often making very difficult demands on the performer, which then heightens the dramatic character of the piece. His etudes are largely in a straightforward ternary form, and he used them to teach his own technique for piano playing. For instance, playing double thirds, i.e. in Opus 25 number 6, playing in octaves, Opus 25 number 10, and playing repeated notes, Opus 10 number 7. You also had the preludes, many of which are very brief, some consisting of simple statements and development of a single theme or figure. They were described by Schumann as the beginnings of studies. Inspired by J.S. Bach's The Well-Tempered Clavier, Chopin's preludes move up the circle of fifths, rather than Bach's chromatic scale sequence to create a prelude in each major and minor tonality. The preludes were perhaps not intended to be played as a group, and may even have been used by him and later pianists as generic preludes to others of his pieces, or even to music by other composers, as Kenneth Housen suggests. He has noted a recording by Ferruccio Busoni of 1922 in which the prelude Opus 28 number 7 is followed by the etude Opus 10 number 5. The two mature piano sonatas, number 2 Opus 35, written in 1839, and number 3 Opus 58, written in 1844, are in 4 movements. In Opus 35, Chopin was able to combine, within a formal, large musical structure, many elements of his virtuosic piano technique. A kind of dialogue between the public pianism of the brilliant style and the German sonata principle. The last movement, a brief 75-bar Perpetuum Mobile, or Perpetuum Mobile, or whatever, in which the hands play in unmodified octave unison throughout, was found shocking and unmusical by contemporaries, including Schumann. The Opus 8 sonata is closer to the German tradition, including many passages of complex counterpoint, worthy of Brahms, according to music historians Cornel Maklowski and Jim Sampson. Chopin's harmonic innovations may have arisen partly from his keyboard improvisation technique. Templey says that in his works, novel harmonic effects frequently result from the combination of ordinary appoggiaturas or passing notes with the melodic figures of accompaniment, and cadences are delayed by the use of chords outside the home key, so Neapolitan sixths and diminished sevenths, or by sudden shifts to remote keys. Chord progressions sometimes anticipate the shifting tonality of later composers, such as Claude Debussy, as does Chopin's use of modal harmony. And that has managed to get me about 10 minutes into this part.
Don't you have any backbone?
Well, that certainly makes me feel better. Because as you can potentially tell from my throat, I'm a wee bit ill at present. I'm on the up and out from where I was in the last week, because, oh boy, like the cold came, been dosing myself up on paracetamol, and thankfully now the cold has shifted to the throat and it's just a cough now. It's not exactly the best thing to be occurring when you've got commentary that needs to be done.
That feels good.
Because, yeah, it kind of is a bit of a downer when part of your gig is that you need to be talking, and you have a situation occurring whereby talking is a bit difficult because you may be spending every other bloody minute coughing. Thankfully, as I said, I am on the up and up, so I shouldn't be doing any major coughing throughout, but that will explain this potentially slightly deeper tone to my voice and the slight extra rasp that you may be thinking, that sounds really odd. His voice sounds particularly strained at the minute. I am ill. And wait a minute, these guys are called Garlic Dads. Oh dear, what a name for an enemy. I mean, it sort of makes sense that, obviously, I think way back when we had the baby onions and bloody onions, they have evolved in terms of their pungency to Garlic Dads. That's quite amazing.
Much better.
And looks like, because I know I said earlier on in this dungeon, I think, that you probably wanted to be about level 55 to get through all of this. I think what I'm aiming for is about level 60. And to be fair, considering the amount of experience we're getting, that's hardly surprising. Might as well just take that whilst we're getting it. Because why not? If we can get up to level 60 in this, that just means that we have slightly less levelling up to do come the time we reach the optional dungeon. Because you are going to have to level up when you get to that optional dungeon no matter what, because the enemies in there are difficult and the bosses that you're going to face are difficult. So you do very much have to make sure that you're on the level for those, but whilst you're in here it's not necessarily as much of a challenge, so you might as well get the experience here while you can, so you stand a slightly better chance when you go take that one if you choose to. But that said, pretty much from I think here to the end of the dungeon I was kind of just like, you know what? I'm going to try, wherever possible, to avoid getting into battles, because you may have noticed this dungeon's quite long, and the reason that it's quite long is because you end up going into quite a lot of battles, because there's quite a lot of enemies in here. You can easily dodge them if you choose to, but obviously levelling up is a good thing to be doing. So you might as well. But that does just pad out the length of this dungeon. So it's very much a case of I know I reached the point where I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna run to the end of this, so that then it is done and I can rest for a bit. Because yeah, we have got, I think, including this part, only 10 more parts to go. So we are edging ever closer to the end of the game. Yes, we shall see. Right now, like, look, we've got 2 enemies here. I'm just like, Don't care about you. I think I'm probably going to run into this guy because he's sort of in my path. Yeah, basically, if anybody's in my pathway, yeah, they're going to die. Because, you know what? They're assholes, they're monsters, they kind of need to, you know, bugger off. But if they're not in the way, they can just shimmy along. Well, that's the important... Well, the important bit is just getting to the end of this now. Because, as much as I love a town sonata, as you may have noticed, in pretty much all of the very long playthroughs that I do, mostly JRPGs actually, when I get towards the end of them I start going, I know I've pretty much said this before, in this playthrough, and I think in others, I really struggle with trying to make elements like this a bit more exciting, shall I say, because it can get quite samey. I've also said that before. But yeah, I struggle with moments where, like, I've suddenly gone, right, I've kind of run out of primary talking points, but there's still stuff to go, so I kind of just need to blather on. And for better or worse, that's what needs to happen. But thankfully, with that said, once we reach the end of this, we do have some more stuff that we can talk about, so that's certainly very helpful. And oh, I do love a good full barrage.
Much better.
It's just a really epic move. Doesn't normally do that, but obviously they're all quite weak anyway. And then they just went off the cliff. And that was beautiful. And oh, I wonder how good that'll be. Definitely will take that. I think maybe we'll have one more battle. As we... Yeah, let's just take this guy down. And maybe this fella over... Okay, no, we've got to go up another floor. Or not, I'm going to go run round and take on another guy. Honestly, I don't know what my thought process was. I don't know whether it was, let's get Polka up to level 57. So that then she gets more experience in the next boss fight. That's not how it works. Like, it's really not how it works. But I think my logic was I want Polka to be level 57 now. I suppose because then there is the greater possibility of her getting up to level 58 potentially come the end of the next boss fight, so I suppose there's some remnants of logic in there. Oh, and also she was ridiculously close to a level up, so it kinda makes sense, sort of, in a way. And then, we're going in with the Dream Team. I should probably technically go into this boss fight with Allegretto and Beat, because that would be thematically appropriate. But really, it doesn't matter. So let's run to the south and see what the boss is that awaits. Yes, it is a white version of the baby dragon that Beat and Allegretto fought all the way back in the Agogo Forest.
Hey, I'm over here. Come on.
Now, obviously, it's not that bad. And he's called the White Jewel. Which I suppose makes sense, because he's white and his eyes look like jewels, so that works out quite nicely. But yes, with the Dream Team involved, he does not stand a chance. Basically, once the White Jewel is defeated, we'll be able to go find out what happened to Legato and where he's been holding himself up. Because, you know, would rather not have him destroy the universe. It's kind of a little bit dangerous, if you ask me. And I like how the White Jewel basically just gave me an automatic triangle formation. Just like, thanks for speeding up your death, mate, 'cause it means I don't have to run around you. Although I suppose, you know, when he blocks some of my attacks, that's a bit of a dick move. But it's fine, because, yeah, really, he's not going to really last long. Perhaps another round. I mean, to be fair, I think probably end this special attack, he might pop his clogs a little bit after that. Sounds about right to me. And there we go. The 4 mini-bosses of the Double Reed Tower have been defeated, I am pretty sure. So, let's have another philosophy lesson, and then let's head onwards to face down the ruined body.
In music, you're presented with a variety of sounds and expressions over time. It's an art where you enjoy an arrangement of time that changes from moment to moment. In contrast to that, a painting always stays the same, even after thousands of years. But then the world and the feelings drawn on that canvas can be shared by people in the past and in the future. If those two art forms were to be combined, I think that even God would be able to appreciate the resulting creation.
An art form that would be appreciated by God?
Yes. Imagine a music that could make us feel space and dimension. And pictures that would make us feel time and experience motion. Whatever kind of art it is, you would need to use more than one of your senses to understand it. It's more important to feel it with your heart. But let me ask you, does that idea really apply only to the arts?
What?
Maybe there's something else that's even closer to us. Something that can only be understood by feeling it with our hearts.